The Edwards Syndrome Association is a 100% volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to advocacy, equal care, education, and rights of people with Edwards syndrome. The ESA strives to empower parents to advocate while working to help break barriers for those with Edwards syndrome. This podcast is for educational purposes only. For all medical advice, please speak with your medical providers. Thank you for joining us and for breaking barriers with us.
Welcome to the Breaking Barriers podcast, where we talk all things Edwards syndrome, special needs, therapy, disability, and everything in between.
Welcome to another episode of Breaking Barriers podcast. I am your host, Crystal Simpson. Joined with me today is my co-host, Gina, and our friends, Kelly and Aaron. We are all moms of incredible kids with Edwards syndrome, and today we are chatting about therapy, the challenges, the victories, and what it all means for our families. So let's dive in. Would you guys like to, first off, introduce yourself?
I'm Kelly, and I have Emma, who just turned 7 years old, and I live in Maryland.
I'm Gina, and Mia is my daughter. She is 6 years old, and we live in the suburbs of Chicago.
I'm Erin, and my daughter is Brooklyn. She's 4 years old, and we live in a little town in Connecticut.
Okay, myself, I am the mother of Gunner. He is 9 years old, and we live in Kentucky. So let's start off with kind of just chatting about what was our very first therapy experiences with our kiddos.
Emma started at 6 weeks old or a month old with infants and toddlers, and they're coaching based. So we did that for about 2 years before we ended up at outpatient at Nemours in Delaware. That's how we just had OT and a PT come for the first 2 years, once a week.
And for us, we started actually, like she got some therapy in the NICU. It was kind of basic, but like we all kind of know about the clenched fists and stuff. So they started with like doing the like the bracing for that and just like getting her in different positions and stuff like that, and doing some feeding therapy when we were introducing the bottles. So some of that in the NICU, and then we also did the here it's called early intervention, birth to age 3. So Mia did that in our home, and we were not so lucky to have COVID happen pretty quickly after we started that program, and it all went virtual. So like looking back, it was actually pretty awful, seeing as we had to do that virtually. So we also eventually transitioned to like an outpatient setting as well. But yeah, that's how we started.
Yeah, so same with the NICU, some of the little like with the feeding, and we spent so much time early on in the hospital. I feel like she was getting a lot of like PT would come and things like that, and she had her heart surgery at 6 weeks, so they were coming a lot then. But it's called Birth to 3, same program you guys are talking about, and the first we started with physical therapy, and then eventually OT and speech, and she also had audiology really early on because she had failed the early hearing tests. But I'll never forget, like, the first time the Birth to 3 worker called me, I was like, oh, this girl's gonna, I don't like her, right? Like, I thought she like sounded like a certain kind of way, and she ended up being just one of my most favorite people. And I would always joke with her that, I thought that. So my first experience was like, oh no, this lady's gonna come to my house, and I have to let her in my house. But it ended up being a really good experience. So
Yeah, with Gunner, we started in the NICU also with PT and the hand splints. They had the little homemade hand splints for him, and because he had the clenched fists and all, and the feeding therapy and PT. The OT mainly just did the hand splints and stuff, but we went into like the early intervention also when we got home. And I it was kind of, we came home with like early intervention, but they called it hospice here also. So same concept, I guess you could say. But it's wild to hear Gina talk about the whole COVID and it going virtual and stuff because virtual is terrible. I can only imagine how
It
that is being
is.
a
They did
first
that
time
to us
parent.
too.
Yeah, being a
Yeah.
first time parent too, the special needs kiddo, like it had to have been like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Emma
it's
started it
not.
in the NICU with all that stuff too, but I just didn't consider it really.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
So they tried the hand splints on your guys' kids that
Yeah,
early on?
yeah,
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Especially to like
Yeah.
pull out the thumb.
Yeah.
Because the thumb is stuck. So Mia had like special ones that like pull their thumb out.
Mm.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah,
they
we
also
Emma
just,
was
like did like
just
rolls. They did
yeah,
yeah, Emma
they
rolls
just
and
was
put them
had
in
just
us
her hands.
do like massaging and then yeah,
Hmm.
like there was
yeah. They
something
did
that
massaging. Emma, they made the splints right in the room
hmm.
Same with
and put
Mia.
them on
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
Yeah, Brookie just got some hands like braces probably just like 6 months ago.
Mm.
But her hands are pretty good, like that it worked what they did. So,
Yeah,
but everybody kind of early on was saying they wanted to have her try to do it on her own without the splints. It's so funny how places are so different.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, she had 2 sets of splints, and then I took her to a hand specialist, and he said her hands are actually not that clenched. He said, I've seen way worse. And he said hers was going to open with development as she was like reaching and grabbing stuff. And he said they don't like to do surgery until they're at least 3, unless it's like really severe. And hers was not considered that because she was open by the time we got there. She was like a year and a half when we got there.
Hmm.
Gunner's opens pretty well, but he does have some webbing on his hands and feet. Not bad, but his left thumb, I think, is the one that's tighter than the other one. We still possibly may have to have surgery on that, but overall, he can pick up what he wants when he wants. That's the issue
The
with Gunner. He's
key
very stubborn.
when he wants, right? That's
Mhm.
the key.
Yeah.
Very, very much the key.
Yeah.
And then they pick up Emma, she picks up stuff you don't want her to pick
Exactly. Yeah. You want them to feed themselves, but they'll put a toy in their mouth, but not the actual
Yeah.
food in their mouth.
Mhm. Yeah, I always say Brookie will put anything in her mouth except food, and then when you put food on the thing that she's putting in her mouth, she won't put it in her mouth anymore.
Uh-huh. Sounds like
Uh,
Mia.
Ugh.
Emma will. She will now. She didn't used to, but she does now. And she has to do it herself. You can't do it.
Yeah, but it just like the therapy thing, like to tie that in. I'm
Yeah.
like, if one more person tells me, well, why don't have you tried to put food on the thing that she always puts in her mouth? And it's like,
Yes. I did that
Yeah.
forever ago.
I
I
always
know
say
tonight,
anything you guys can come up with, we've already done.
Yeah, but
right?
Exactly.
there was somebody who told me that first, and we did try it, and that was, there was the first time we heard it, and then so I usually will like lead off with that like we've
Yeah.
already, done
I
that.
mean,
Right.
it's a
We've
good
tried
idea.
everything. I feel like people just don't understand that part of like it's you just are like, well, if they're able to eat, why don't they just eat? Like they just don't get it.
Yeah. Why don't
Yeah.
you just not
Hmm.
feed them as much and maybe they'll get more hungry and eat? Heard that a lot. I'm like,
Yeah.
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 I'm
Don't you think
still
I would have
waiting
done
for
that
my
already if it was going to work?
I'm still waiting for my opportunity where Crystal had said, when people are looking, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I can't remember exactly what it was, but um yeah, I think other people have
Hmm.
such a harder time with it. And I know for me, like I did so much research before having Brooklyn because I did know when I was pregnant that I knew. I mean, I think every kid I encountered in my Facebook stalking had a feeding tube. So to me, like that was an inevitable thing. Whereas, like my husband didn't really look into that. Like he didn't know as much, and so it was a little bit even like of an adjustment more for him. But with other people, it's like, I'm fine with it. If it's a feeding tube her whole life, like, but I think when people aren't immersed in that life,
It is what it is.
yeah, they
Yeah.
have a harder time.
Yeah, I agree.
In a
So,
sense, it's easier
what
because
is
you just feed them.
true? Yeah. You know they're being fed, so took
Yeah,
care
you don't have
of
to
and
go
get the
buy
nutrients and stuff
anything.
that they're.
Ask them what
Yeah.
they want.
Mm-hmm. So, let's talk about a little bit of like our kids during therapy. What is something that has surprised you guys during therapy with your kiddos? Like, what have they done that you're like, you didn't think that they were capable of doing, or you thought it was going to be, overwhelming or anything?
I mean, I could say this summer, Emma has had a hard time doing the half kneeling,
Mm-hmm.
because of her tight hip from the hip surgery.
Right.
And so when we first did it, she was like, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
like going like a potato sack. And then we got her used to it probably after like a week or so. And we were doing it. And I mean, now when I do it, she's up, not touching anything. She's in it. But when she started getting like that, the OT was doing it. And then she just popped right up standing, pushed right up, and was standing right there at the bench. We both were like, and I, I happened to be recording, and it was just, I was like, yeah. Now she'll just
Right.
do it,
Yeah. It's
but
awesome.
yeah, that's like the recent most surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's just me all the time.
Yeah,
Whatever she does, it just seems like such a huge accomplishment that
yeah,
Mhm.
like anytime she can show like a burst of like
yeah.
strength, that's when I'm just like, oh my gosh. And even today, like, I mean, we've been practicing rolling for so long, and today she just killed it,
Cool.
but it's like it's out of nowhere. I think that's what is also surprising sometimes is that,
Yeah,
I'm like doing something with her and doing it, and it's like, oh my God, she's not getting it. She's not getting it. And then it's like one day she just gets it, and it's like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
this is so cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. One thing that surprised me totally off the like not in like what she did in terms of like her strength, but how she will manipulate getting out of doing it.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean? Like how
yeah,
it just, I guess, I mean, with everything we were told and like cognitively not
yeah.
knowing what's
Mm-hmm.
going on and blah, 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 to see her like pretend to be like,
Asleep.
oh, I'm so tired,
Yep.
or
Oh,
crying,
yeah.
but she's really not upset. It's just that she just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Emma will
Yeah.
pretend to sleep. She'll make herself heavy
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
so that you can pick her
Yeah.
up.
That's
The
what Mia does with
therapist will be
school
like,
too. Hmm.
She'll go
yeah,
like
the
this with
therapist
her
will be like, oh,
arms to block,
yeah.
like tight.
And they'll be like, oh, he's going to fall asleep on the way home. I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah. They
He
say that all
totally
the
just
time at
played you.
school. Our
Emma
nurse is like,
hardly
oh,
ever
she's
does now.
tired. She's definitely gonna nap for you. And I'm like, no, she ain't.
No.
She's not napping. She
Yeah,
just
she
didn't want to
doesn't
be there
really.
anymore.
Yeah. She totally played you off.
I've said that in the IEP meeting. So,
Oh, yeah, I have to.
she's playing you. She's playing you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What about you, Gina?
I would
Yeah.
say my biggest like surprise. I mean, we unfortunately have had a lot of regression, but back when Mia was like able to like literally stand on your hands, um, and then just her like use of her eye gaze device and how I wouldn't say she surprised me with that, but how she surprised a lot of other people with her ability to use it and stuff. But then kind of like now, since we did have like such a big regression period, I feel like when she is slowly starting to gain some of her skills back that she lost is just really exciting. Like she's starting to like roll again and sit and improved slightly on her standing, but still really far away from where we were. So I just feel like every little kind of gain is like so big now, after everything she's gone through. So
Mhm.
It's inch stones with us.
Oh,
Like
it
our inch
is.
stones are huge milestones.
yeah.
Yes.
Like I would have to say Gunner probably surprised me when he first got his Toby, which was he was like 2.5.
Mhm.
I honestly didn't know what to expect. Didn't know if he'd even be able to comprehend or use it. I knew that he was, well off from what they told me that he was going to be, cognitively. But like even today, he like surprised me. I stood him up, and he stood in front of me for a good over a minute by himself, and then I put him up against the couch, and I'm like, "Where did this come from?" Like you're just standing there, like what happened?
So
So yeah,
awesome.
it's
Mhm.
I feel like we have our ups and downs, like it changes day to day. And
Mm.
it also depends, like our kids have hearing impairment, visual impairment, like even the weather plays a part in a lot of different things that they do every day.
Yep.
So it's a hit or miss every day. Like one
Yeah.
day we might be in a bad mood, not feel good. We don't want to feel like doing things. Same with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know this is probably going to be a question that we all have dealt with and went through, but discouragement with the whole therapy process. I know we've all went through it. I know for a fact me and Gina's went through it with knee surgeries with Gunner and Mia. Like, how do you push through, and how does your kids push through? What motivates them and motivates you to keep pushing through the discouragement?
Oh God, you just had me flashback to Brookie wearing that spica cast for 12 weeks and then her
Oh
hip
yeah.
falling out of
See?
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just heartbreaking. That was so hard. And I
And
think, I don't know, I still sometimes am like, oh, I just want to go back, because her hip's dislocated now. And it's clearly, it doesn't cause her like any chronic
Yeah.
pain or anything at this point, but it definitely impacts her ability to do so many things, like that I think she
right.
would probably be excelling at. And so to I'm always like I can get stuck in that and I just have to like kind of say we did our best, we tried, it wasn't, she's okay, it wasn't working, and then we're just kind of now grappling with like, do we do a second surgery, like because the first one wasn't a surgery, they just like
Put the
closed
cast on.
reduction, like pushed it in. And
Okay.
so now it's like, do we do that? But then there's like the recovery from that is apparently like horrible. And what if it doesn't work? You know what I mean? Like that would be so I mean, I think thankfully I have a partner that we talk about it and work through it, and that helps a lot with the discouragement. But it is hard in those moments in therapy when I'm like noticing she could be doing better if her hip was in, and also that worry that people kind of count her out a little bit because her hip's dislocated. And so it's just like trying to self-talk and
Mhm.
push through it and take make the adjustments to help her do what she can do and safely and all that stuff. It's tough though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, I mean, it's been a lot the last 2 years. I mean, first it was knee surgery and a bunch of health stuff. So it's just like one thing after the next. And I feel like the knee surgery was just terrible. It didn't help that her knee was dislocated for like 7 months before surgery happened. And it's like just like overnight, all of a sudden Mia went from being able to float on my hands to suddenly she couldn't even stand anymore. And that was like our first indicator of like, okay, something is wrong. But then it kind of like kept getting brushed off like, oh, she just like sprained it and it'll be better in a month. And it's like then a month goes by and then all of a sudden she's getting diagnosed with hydrocephalus and needs a shunt. And so like obviously brain surgery is going to come before worrying about her knee. And so then we were worrying about that. And then our hospital had a cyber attack and literally went completely offline for like a month. And it was just like one thing after the next. And then she got pneumonia twice and surgery got pushed twice. So it literally was like November and all of a sudden it's June and she's having surgery. And then she has this god awful surgery and is in the hospital for a month after battling like random fevers. And they're like, we're going to have to cut her cast off because we need to see if there's an infection under it. And it was just like a living nightmare for a month. And then she did rehab and it seems like it was going okay. And we just had high hopes that she would just slowly gain the function back. And it's just like, I don't know what it is, but man, knee surgeries are just, they suck. Because she just still cannot stand. It's like, and then on top of it, she's grown so much. So like you're adding that into the fact that she's had all these health issues, plus the knee surgery, plus she's so much bigger. It's just like it's really hard some days to like not get discouraged and um everything. But I, like you said, I try to just self-talk and just look at like how far she still has come, like everything she's endured over the last 2 years, and the fact that she's gotten through all that and is still alive and doing all the things she's doing is like a miracle in itself. So I try to remember that and just say like get back to the basics. Like we literally, I've just told myself like we just have to get back to the basics, and that's kind of where my mind's been now for like a month. And I feel like we're starting to see slow progress now. That I'm like, okay, it's okay that we're not as progressed as where I had hoped, and it's okay to basically start over like she's a baby essentially. So that's kind of where my mentality has been. And that's helped a lot, I feel like. And also staying out of the hospital has helped a lot.
Mm. Yeah.
That's probably everything all at once, more than just the knee
Yeah.
that caused all that. It's just, Emma's only had the hip surgery where they put the screw in. Gunnar had it too. And she was about 4 when she had it done. And she was only out for like 2 weeks. And then she was back to weight bearing. They cleared her. We went back to therapy. She actually was a lot stronger after that surgery. Right now she is having the knees move around, and the last x-ray showed that the kneecap is a little higher than it should be. And so we're doing a CAT scan on her full legs, because part of what can cause that is femoral anteversion, where the femur can be twisted inward. And so we have to look at that. And then I'm like distraught over it, but the knee part is they would just pull it back down by tightening the tendon. That's what's causing that. But also there is no damage whatsoever in either knee right now. So they're kind of like really jumping because they don't want any damage to her knees. But they need to check the femur, because they may have to, if I agree, break her femur and then turn it to where it's like normal, and tighten the knee ligaments. And they're going to do both legs and knees all at once. So she'll be in braces for 6 weeks, and then she'll go right straight into their intensive PT program there, which she was in all summer, and she'll go straight back into that for however long they say. So, and they said because she shows so strong now, and I continue it and continue it and continue it till the surgery, that the rehab will be easier on her. The more I keep her, strength up and keep building it. So that's what we're focusing on now. So we'll see. I'm hoping that that's not the case and it's just the knees, because I know we can't get around the knees, but we'll see.
Wow. Yeah, the knee surgery is hard.
Yeah. She told me
Goodness.
that when it comes to the femur, doing the femur, that if they were just doing that without the knees, that she could weight bear within a week and be, so we'll see.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
Gunner's
at
had
with that.
3 knee surgeries. Yeah.
Yeah. She's never had any issues until like last year. The left one started to like move around a little bit. And then now the right one's like way worse. I mean, she's still standing and doing everything. She said she has no restrictions right now, but yeah.
Yeah, usually the knee dislocating doesn't have any, it doesn't really cause a whole lot of pain for them as kids.
No. She's not in pain. She don't like it. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But
So,
she's not in any
yeah,
pain because they twisted her all around and she was just
as
like,
long as it doesn't go out and stay out. If it
yeah.
goes out and stays out, then it's a different story.
Apparently it's not going all the way out.
Yeah.
It's just mild.
That's how Gunner's um, left leg is right now at the moment. Like
Yeah,
it still goes out a little bit. That's not the surgery leg. His right leg is the one he had the surgery on.
yeah,
So
they said that your kneecap is supposed to move
yeah,
naturally,
right.
but hers is going too far. I mean, you could see it. It's
Hmm.
going out too far to the outside, not the inside, which to me doesn't make any sense with the antiversion because antiversion, the knee will go in. So I don't know.
Gunner's goes out.
I could be reading it wrong, but um that's where we're at right now. So I figured that they were gonna have to do something with the knee because the braces were just, I mean, they work, but not all the time. And it is starting to hold her back because she was standing really solid and taking steps and everything. And now she's hesitating. Like she don't like she don't like the popping and the uncomfortableness, even though it's not hurting.
Hmm.
So that's our little, we'll see from there. But otherwise, we never had any really digressions or anything.
I would have to say with Gunner would be the knee part also. Um, he went from being able to walk with me just holding his hands and hips to not being able to do it with, he'd have to have a seat and the gait trainer and stuff. But we're slowly getting there. I would say that's probably my biggest discouragement. Looking back and seeing him at age 2 and 3 and standing, and today he did great standing. So we're obviously getting there. I think a lot of his is
Yeah,
trust in his leg with the knee surgery, and
they
but
said that's what's her
I think
issue is right now. He
I
doesn't
think a
trust
lot
her
of our kids
knees.
also needs a lot of ugh,
Assurance. Yeah,
reassurance that they need to, you know, trust themselves, trust their own
yeah.
body. And I think that helps a whole lot. So I do a lot of talking with Gunner and like letting him
Hmm.
know that I'm not going to let him fall. He's got this, and a lot of encouragement to him, and he seems to do a lot better.
That's what we've been
You
doing with
know.
her all summer, and she's not doing the shaking anymore. She used to shake really bad when she got scared,
Mhm.
and now she's not doing that anymore. Like, because
Yeah.
we've been talking to her and showing her and working with her, building her confidence. So
Yeah.
it's a process.
So, which therapies do you all think has made the biggest impact on your kids?
Honestly, with her, I would say vision therapy for the last 2 years because it opened up the world to all the other therapies.
Right. Yeah, vision plays a huge part in every
Hmm.
aspect.
That's
Trying
definitely
to
a huge
think
difference.
which one I feel like, I don't know. I mean,
That's a hard
PT, I feel
question.
like, yeah, that is a tricky one. I also feel like there's a lot of overlap with occupational
Yeah.
therapy, especially with low tone kids, because you're not working as much on like the fine motor skill until you can grasp like sitting up and like being able to like get there. So like we had a really awesome OT that Mia saw for 5 years. And I mean, she was like an overlap with a PT. So I feel like when you just, I don't know that it's necessarily the therapy as much as like the therapist. When you find the
Therapist.
right
Yeah.
therapist, it's like just amazing. Um, so yeah, that's a tricky one, but yeah.
Well, the reason I say
Yeah, I feel
vision
like Gunner's
therapy
therapist.
is you got to be able to see With
Uh-huh.
PT and OT, you got to be able to like see
For sure. I mean, that makes
objects and
sense. Yeah.
follow and
Well, it's also too like Mia's hearing aids, we found out are like she's only hearing loud pitches. And so they have been set like that for forever. I mean, like she got them and I think they were right, but then I think they got turned down once. I don't even know what happened. But then like she had all the health issues and stuff. And so like we've not wanted to sedate her for an ABR because every time she goes under sedation, she ends up in the hospital for a month. And so like we're like, well, these other things are coming first. And so we finally did like a non-sedated test that's like a newer test that they were able to see her hearing, and we found this information out. So now the only way to adjust them is to do a sedated ABR, which is fine because she's in a better place now. And that's coming up in 2 weeks. But I'm just like thinking about how it's going to open up her world to actually be able to hear properly. And I'm sure
Mhm.
that's going to help her therapies too,
Mhm.
because like Crystal was talking about encouragement, and it's like she hears certain pitches and she can see it on our face and stuff, but like beyond that, like I don't know what she's hearing. And so just hearing that encouragement easier and getting able to like understand what's going on, I think it's going to be huge for all of
Oh
her
yeah.
therapies.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Say
I
that.
think with Gunner, a lot of I would think aquatic therapy more so than anything has helped him a lot. I feel like he
That's
can
a
feel
good
his
one.
body more.
Body
Mhm.
awareness. Yeah.
Yes, his body awareness is so much more when he's in the swimming pool.
Yeah,
It's
aquatic
like
therapy is good. It's
he can
hard to
walk.
find though.
Yeah,
It's
we don't
very
have
like we can't
any
find it
yet.
here,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
he can literally walk across the pool with you just holding a finger. Like it's just,
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
just
they
like,
have it at where
wow.
at Moore's and Kennedy Krieger, where she goes to both of them. She's been in aquatic therapy, both of them.
It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
I think for us, going to the intensive for the 3 weeks was really
Mm.
enlightening, because I think so many of the therapists that worked with Brookie up until then, and even now, like working with a kid with Edwards syndrome is so like new to them and what they read and know. Like I think at Napa they were just more like, oh yeah, she can do this. Like they didn't care about
They
anything.
don't treat. They
Yeah.
It
treat the
was
kid.
like, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
our eyes were open to so many things that like I would have never, like I don't think people would have taken forever to get to like standing her up and holding her hips and making her walk, like, and she was doing that, and it was like, oh my
Right.
god,
You're
we've
like,
never
whoa.
even like nobody's even thought to try that. So I think it that opened my eyes in that way to what she really was capable of doing. But I do agree with Gina. It's like the therapist is a big deal. And I think speech at school has, like, we've seen a lot of progress with her with her vocalizations and different sounds that she's making. And then she uses like the button to agree, and, just using, like, she's really shown a lot of progress in that area. I think she has a really good speech therapist at school that is working on all the ways to integrate her communication in the classroom, and hopefully we'll get some move up to some other sort of um communication device at some point, but those have been good experiences.
Yeah, I think with Gunner, like I was saying, with it makes the aquatic is probably his favorite and he does very well with, but it goes back to the therapist. Like
Mhm.
we have an OT that she does amazing with PT and speech. Like she's just
Yeah.
amazing in all areas, but she is just an occupational therapist. And I would love to have her for 2 hours a day because she's amazing, And Gunner's speech therapist, she does great in outpatient therapy. Our PT, we've had ups and downs with trying to find a good PT because a lot of them don't stick around or whatever. But intensive therapy has played a huge role in Gunner's improvements and achievements throughout his whole entire life since he was probably 2.5.
Mm.
Um, so back to the therapist question, what makes a good therapist in your all's opinion for our kiddos? They have to look past the diagnosis. They have to look, at the kid, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So what
Yeah.
are your all's thoughts on that?
Well, I think believing like what I loved about the PT that we had for Birth to Three was like she just believed in Brookie like as much as we did. I felt like, like
Mhm.
she in while it was different than the intensive where she was kind of like, slower paced and maybe Brookie could have been doing more than she was doing with her at the time. I mean, I would get emotional sometimes when I would watch the way that she would interact with her and encourage her and like just treat her like, she was any kid that she was gonna see that day, and so I think
Hmm.
that
Right.
and I think, like, you can't be passive, and we have had a couple therapists who are a little bit more,
Yeah.
like, passive and,
Yeah.
and even one time would be, like, every little thing that Brooklyn would do, she'd be like, like she was but like so surprised, like in awe, like happy and excited for her, but it was like, all right, that's
That's
sweet and cute
cool.
and everything, but like let's go. Like you're supposed to be here teaching me and not me teach. Sometimes we've also had some where it's like I'm showing them,
Yes. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no, don't grab her arm like that. You want to guide it from
Mm.
behind. And it's like,
I do
why
that.
am I telling the
Yeah.
therapist this
That's
stuff?
silly me.
But,
Yeah.
I like the therapists that teach, like you said, teach me. And then she's had a bunch of new therapists in the last year. And the ones that we've gotten, they have read her so well. And she started making so much progress. Um, like with the OT she just had, she just read her like a book. And she started telling me, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And she said, this is why she's doing this. And she gave me all these exercises, and it was all motor planning stuff. And I did it every day, every night. We would do it. And she is getting to be all over. And she's like twisting and turning in all kinds of different directions. And um, pulling her feet out, like, because she likes to get up to sit on her knees. She's now like pulling her feet out to like sit on her bottom, just all kinds of different things. And it started off with Natalie or OT. And the other thing this summer is her speech therapist. She is amazing, amazing, has gotten her to do so much with the device and has gotten her to, she does speech and feeding with her. Um, she's now accepting different textures and crunching and is excited about it. As soon as like we sit her in there with her, she's like, eat, eat, eat on her device. And she's
She's gonna be
never
like
been like
Gunner.
that. Yeah, she's going
Be like
eat,
Gunner.
eat, eat. And we're like, sometimes we have to do the eat like automatically because that's what she wants to do. And then she'll pay attention to go on to other words on the device. But like she's never done that before. So that's like a new thing with this speech therapist. And I'm gonna keep her. She's up in the intensive program, but we go up every summer. And so that's the one I want. But just the different there I've learned in the last year because she had the same therapist for like 2 or 3 years at the beginning. And she's had a lot of different ones in the last year, and they just read her differently. And I've learned so much more like with them.
Yeah, I think our kids definitely do not need to stay with the same one for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
You gotta switch it up because they get too comfortable and they know how to
yeah.
push their buttons. Our kids do, and they know how to. Oh well, I'm gonna act like I'm crying because Gunner is
Yeah.
notorious for that.
I think with Emma
And
is like
then,
she knows what to expect with them. You know what I
mhm,
mean? So then when she started getting all these new ones and they're like, oh no, 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 and they start like making her and doing all this stuff, she's just like she's doing so good.
yeah,
Have you guys had any time where like we went one time and I was like, they're literally just playing with her like we play with her at home?
Yes.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I'm like, we
Yes.
just wasted all of this time getting her ready, getting her around the house, going to this place, and this chick like literally just like played with her. And I'm like, she's very nice,
Yeah.
like she's a
Just like
nice
most of the
person, but
when they get a substitute because their therapist is out. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is that they can't like be afraid of them too. Like
yeah,
if they aren't willing to like get out of their comfort zone with our kids because they're a little bit more complex and need more help, like they're not gonna probably be very good with them. Um, and then also just like believing in them and knowing that they can do it and can get there. Because I feel like there have been some therapists like with Mia that kind of like doctors, like they just have their doubts and they're just not a good fit for us. So I think those are definitely my biggest traits in a good therapist.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with all that. And I hate the ones when you go in there and they're just like, oh, we're going to stretch. I'm like, I didn't come here for stretching. Like, I stretched him
I can
already,
stretch. If you're gonna show me new
Yeah.
stretches,
But
okay.
Gunner has to have somebody that is firm with him. You cannot
Yes.
pet or love on him, or it's going to be a crap show.
And giving her support that she doesn't need. Like, she's playing you. If you give it to her, she's going to take it. And she's going to make you think she needs it. So, like, I'm like, you don't need to do that. You need to just do this with her and she'll stay up. And they do it and they're like, oh.
Yeah, I know, but at that point you're like, why am I really here? Like I can do this
Yeah.
at home. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I had to do that in the aquatic therapy, so I was okay because it was the pool. Like,
Yeah,
but I
I
was
think that's what impacts us. I think one of the things that we've talked about maybe outside of the podcast of like, because she gets an hour of each therapy at school, and it's like it's hard too because we both work full time, but like the motivation to take her to somewhere else outpatient is lower for me because it's like if are they going to do anything that we can't do at home, and so it's like if we're going to use our time to do this, and I do feel like they're working really good and hard with her at school, but it's like it kind of discourages me a little bit because I'm like, yeah, I'd like to have her also in outpatient therapies, and so she would be getting as much, but then I'm like, that's what happened. We were going every Saturday to this one place, and I was like, why are we doing this? So that's why I like the idea of doing the intensive, like doing the
yeah,
school stuff, us doing what we can at home, and then doing the intensive and learning and practicing that here. But then I do get down on myself sometimes because it's like, am I doing enough? I think that's a big piece that I don't know about you guys, but it's like I feel like a constant feeling of, am I ever doing enough?
yeah,
And
yeah,
but
always. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
But I
like for
also
us,
think her. Go ahead.
go ahead, Chris. You could go.
I was just saying, like, I feel like a lot of times our kids also need routine. So, like, and
mm,
sometimes they like to get out of the house. So they might be more encouraged if you take them to outpatient
mm,
therapy or, to the park or riding a bicycle outside. Like, that's still considered therapy.
mm,
Yeah,
Um, so a lot of that just intertwining all that together plays a lot of part with motor planning. So
yeah,
it helps
I agree.
them process things.
And I think too, it's important to find what works. Because like for
Mm-hmm.
us, like I feel like we've had a lot of like turnover with our therapists. But Mia's actually doing 2 days of outpatient right now. And it just kind of happened because like we were doing speech, OT, and PT all back to back. And then there was like changes in the schedule and they couldn't get us back to back anymore. And I'm like, well, I will refuse to come here if we can't do more than one therapy. Like it's too far. And so I'm like, well,
Right.
can we do PT both days? And then one day we had OT, the other day we had speech. Cause I feel like for Mia, especially since her knee injury, PT is the hard one for me. Like I struggle to get her, like honestly, even just like in the gait
Mhm.
trainer by myself and like stuff like that. So it's like I feel like that's like a big one where like going to the clinic is so worth it. Whereas like the speech and the OT, it's kind of like almost just like my chance to kind of like have someone else do it. But like I could totally do those at home.
mm,
So like
Right.
I would never probably choose to just go
Yeah.
there just for one of those. Unless it was like a
Hmm.
therapist, like Tracy, who we had for her whole life and we just vibe so well. But like we're tacking on the PT both days. So I'm like, we're going for the strenuous one that I struggle with more by myself at home. And then we're just adding this on. And it's kind of like my chance to just kind of observe and, help out a little bit, like hold the toys and not have to like also make sure she's not falling over and stuff like that. So you kind of just have to figure out what works for you. And like I've also said too, to like Kelly and Crystal, like, I don't know if we're gonna continue therapy where we're at forever. Like we just kind of take it one day at a time and kind of see. Like I'm sure I know one of her PTs, one of our favorite ones are actually pregnant. And so she's gonna go on maternity leave. And so it's like, I don't know if we're gonna keep that day. So that's also why we've kept both days too, even with school starting, because I'm like, I know she's gonna leave. So I don't want to like make any changes and then end up losing both days. So it's just like it's complicated because I feel like there is a lot of turnover too in like the therapy space. Like you either have one that's like with the clinic forever or they're like always changing over.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.